Happy 2022, beautiful people. I hope the new year has been so good to you. Today, we're having a really raw conversation on change and how it allows you to have beautiful moments to find yourself through it all. What is going on, beautiful people? You are listening to the Affirmations for Black Girls podcast, where we focus on personal growth and cultivating a healthy relationship with ourselves. I am your host, Tyra, the creative actress, content creator, and mental health enthusiast. Let's jump into today's episode. This week's affirmation is, my fears of tomorrow are melting away. I want you guys to just drop in with me. This is the first affirmation of the new year. My fears of tomorrow are melting away. Feel free to take a few deep breaths. Feel free to close your eyes if you're not driving, if you're in a space where you can close your eyes. Feel free to say this along with me as well. My fears of tomorrow are melting away. My fears of tomorrow are melting away. My fears of tomorrow are melting away. I really want you guys to envision what that means for you, these fears melting away. My fears of tomorrow are melting away. My fears of tomorrow are melting away. Ooh, I absolutely love that affirmation, you guys. So I'm just going to be real with y'all. I have thought that I hated change with a passion. But what I recently realized was that it was the fear of starting over, the fear of the unknown, unfamiliarity, the fear of tomorrow that had me in a chokehold. And that's why I love this affirmation, because just like the word of God says, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today. Matthew 6:34. So with that being said, just let your fears of tomorrow just melt away. Let them roll off your back, because today has its own worries, and that is so real and so true. All right, y'all. So I normally script out my episodes completely. Fun fact, if you didn't know that. But today I really wanted to have a really raw conversation, especially with this being the first episode of the new year. I've done a lot of reflecting and, thinking about the past year, 2021. And I just wanted to talk freely and authentically with all of you. So for the entire month of December, I was in Louisiana. If you don't know, I'm from St. Francisville, Louisiana, and I currently live out in Los Angeles, California, pursuing my acting career. So I spent a month at home and I really learned a lot about myself. And I was talking to my therapist about this, but the biggest takeaway from it, and then I'll go into detail, but the biggest takeaway from me living back at home for a month was that I'm at a place in my life where I have built my own community and my own lifestyle, and I'm comfortable with it. And I'm proud of what I have built here in Los Angeles. And going back home just put me in a very uncomfortable situation, mainly because I don't live there. I have a room at my mom's house, but it's filled with not my stuff. Like my clothes are in the closet and that type of thing, but they basically use that room as storage. So when I go home, there's just all types of things that are also in this room with the remnants of stuff that I left at home before moving out to Los Angeles. And I just felt in a constant state of uncomfortableness or uncomfortability, whatever the word is. I was uncomfortable. And it wasn't necessarily a strong feeling of uncomfortableness, but it was lingering the entire time I was home. So I did some reflecting and I was just like, there's no place for me here. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a way of my parents don't care about me or people have forgotten about me. But there is no place that is mine in Louisiana. And when I came to that revelation, I almost started to cry because I'm from Louisiana. This is home for me, but also now Los Angeles is home. I've been here for almost 4 years. I've put down roots here. I've built a community here. I have friends here. I have a church home here. I have restaurants that I frequent. My dog lives here. It's just amazing to see how you can build a new home in a new place. And when you go back to your old home, it just feels a little different. Now, mind you, my situation is a little different. My mom moved into a new house a few years ago, actually, but I was already living in Los Angeles when she moved into this house. So that does definitely add to the fact that I don't have a space that is mine because I didn't grow up in that house. We don't have my childhood home anymore. So that really, it just made me reflect. But at the same time, I am grateful for these growing pains because change is inevitable. Things are always growing and changing, and being able to stick out the whole month in Louisiana was definitely a challenge, but I'm glad that it's something that I was able to do. On top of being home and not really having a place to call my own or a place that is solely mine, this was the first year that I went home for the holidays without a boyfriend in a very long time. If you've been following me for a while on my YouTube channel or my Instagram, then you know that I was in a long-term relationship. How long? Like 4 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And he would come home with me for the holidays, for the Christmas holiday. And fun fact, we actually broke up in 2020. We broke up in August of 2020, but he ended up going home with me in December because I was so afraid of what my family would say, what my family would think of me if I switched it up, if I changed it up and I didn't bring home my ex-boyfriend, my boyfriend at the time. It was so nerve-wracking to me to spend the holidays without him there. And as I think about that right now, it just baffles me as to why that was my thought process. We get comfortable in these situations no matter what the situation is. And not even to add on, but seasonal depression and seasonal anxiety and just going back home for the holidays at this weird age of, your late 20s where you're still trying to figure things out. You have a little bit figured out, but then you go home and people still think you're a child, or they still think that you're growing up, or they still think that you're the same person that you were when you lived there. Adding all of that on top of a fresh breakup, I basically begged him to go home for the holidays with me. And when I say begged, it wasn't really, begging too much, but I begged him to go home for the holidays with me. And it wasn't too much of a beg because he actually loved being in Louisiana. He loved my family. And we were trying to, I don't know what we were trying to do, y'all, but honestly, 2020 should have been my first year coming home for the holidays without a boyfriend because I was in fact single and I didn't tell my family this. And it was just very, very weird for me on the inside, knowing that I'm not with this guy, but he's here for the holidays just because I don't really want to have those hard conversations yet with my family. And as I'm reflecting on that, I realized that I always like to be in control. And this is why I thought I hated change, because when things change, you're obviously not in control of the situation. And you're unfamiliar with what's going to happen. You're uncomfortable because you don't know what's going to happen. And it's just this circle of being uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, I had to shed that layer. I had to shed that layer of that relationship. I knew that it wasn't going to last. And I should have spent that time in 2020 reflecting and really feeling those fresh emotions, because I was able to kind of wean myself off of him because I was thinking to myself every day, okay, Tyra, you ain't with this boy no more. Like, you gonna get it together. And instead of just saying, okay, this is my new reality, I'm no longer in a relationship. I can go home for the holidays without a boyfriend. And while I know I can, it was just, I was going to get a slew of questions, which I did this year. Granted, I was way more emotionally stable about the situation. So I was able to have an emotionally mature conversation. Hey, where's so and so? What happened to so? How is so and so? I was able to have these conversations with family members and just say, we didn't work out. Instead of saying things like, oh, well, he's a horrible person and this is what happened and let me tell you this. I'm so glad that I didn't do that. And that's something that I feel like could have happened depending on how the conversation was started with a certain family member. And I just don't want to paint him in that light because at the end of the day, that is what it is. We just did not work out. And this change in my life, this change after almost 5 years of being together and being in each other's lives every single day, this change was very, very good for me. So, with this new change, I have promised myself that I will live for me. And one of the first things this year in 2022 is that it will begin with being consistent. As you guys can see, I haven't posted on my podcast since September of 2021, and that had a lot to do with me allowing other people to affect me emotionally to the point where I did not feel like doing anything. And I would let my ex boyfriend affect me emotionally to the point, and it's all me, like in a sense of me not doing what I need to do with my brand and my business, but I would let things going on in our relationship affect me to the point where I didn't feel like doing anything. And that is definitely a me thing and it's something that I'm working on in therapy, and I'm so excited that I have made up in my mind and I made a promise to myself, which is also putting myself first, that I will do the things that I love and I will not allow someone to have control over my emotions. I will not allow someone to affect my emotions in a way where I'm paralyzed. I'm not doing things for my business. Like that is just not going to happen because I just reflected on just how much time and energy I spent trying to think about why I felt this way or just sitting in and steeping in and ruminating in the hurt or ruminating in the anger or the frustration or whatever I was feeling based on other people. I could use that time to actually get through those emotions, and then I can have time to focus on what actually makes me happy. So I'm really trying to retrain my brain to know, hey, emotions are great. Have them, feel them, work through them. But once you're done, we need to get back to work because we have things to do. And I'm really trying to find balance in all of that in this year after change. I really think I'm in a season of shedding layers, y'all. Like I said, ended the relationship. I ended relationships that no longer serve me as a whole. There's been a few of them. I'm starting to buy new clothes that I like, that I feel beautiful in, that give me confidence. I'm retraining my brain about traveling home and visiting family during the holidays, because honestly, in addition to going home every December, I always felt guilty for not wanting to go home or wanting to travel elsewhere. And that's why I would spend so much time at home, because I didn't go home throughout the year. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to cram in all of this time with my family because I only see them once a year. And I'm just glad that I'm retraining my brain that I can go visit other places. I can invite my family out to Los Angeles. I can make my own traditions for the holidays and my own traditions for my life and how I want to live it in general. And I'm so excited for this new season of shedding these old layers and shedding this old mindset that I had. I'm really excited for the woman that I'm becoming. So I just had a lot of reflection happening in 2021, and y'all, I'm enjoying. Enjoy. I'm just so excited. I'm enjoying Tyra. I'm enjoying this woman, Tyra, this 27-year-old woman living in Los Angeles, California, named Tyra Morrison, that is from a small town in Louisiana called St. Francisville, that has endured a lot of things, that has grown from a lot of things, that is taking every card that she has been dealt and is building herself into the woman that God wants her to be. Okay, you guys, we have made it to our fun closing segment. So today we're just going to do a little recommendation of the day. Now, this is where I recommend a book, a movie, food, restaurant, whatever I have been loving lately. And something that really got me through most of the days in Louisiana when I was feeling out of whack and just feeling out of place is lo-fi music. I personally listen to lo-fi music on YouTube. You can literally type in lo-fi music on YouTube and a lot of it will come up. It's even on Apple Music, and I will link some in the show notes. But you can find lo-fi music anywhere. They have some for studying, they have some for sleeping, they have some for anxiety. You could find all types of lo-fi music, but I absolutely love listening to lo-fi when I'm stressed or when I have some work to do or when I just want to be relaxed and chill and just really vibe out with myself and just be in a very chill state. So if you like listening to music without words, then lo-fi music is definitely something that you should try out. I'm actually playing some over this clip right now because lo-fi music it's honestly great. I love it so much. And like I said, I linked some down in the show notes. So definitely check that out. Put it on while you are doing your skincare routine, while you're cooking dinner, while you're writing a paper or whatever you do with your day-to-day on a day-to-day basis. I like to play lo-fi music in the back because music with words is so distracting to me, but with lo-fi music, I feel so productive and I feel like I get so much more done than I would if I was playing other music or if it was even quiet. So, with that being said, you guys, that is all that I have for you today. Please make sure you join us again next week on Sunday after you get your little sprinkle of Jesus, okay? And make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you rate the podcast, review it, follow us on Instagram, and I hope you enjoyed this really raw conversation. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening, and I will catch y'all next week.